The development then coming from COPE, the Congress of the People, issuing out a statement earlier on that the Deputy President, Willie Madisha, has been expelled from the party. COPE's National Committee says the decision comes after efforts to rein in his behavior failed. The party's acting General Secretary, Erick Mohlapamaswi, is joining us now on the line. Good to have you, sir, and thank you very much for coming on. I suppose the first question would be, is this announcement a valid announcement?
Thank you very much for inviting me. Yes, I can confirm that this is a valid announcement, sir.
So who met and who made this particular decision, and did they form the necessary quorum that would allow for such a body to make the decision?
Yes, sir. The Congress National Committee met today, and yes, correctly so, they satisfied the requirements of a quorum, and they have made a decision to that effect.
Yeah, and was this the only recognized meeting that took place of the CNC, or was there another one that was taking place as well?
I have no idea if there was another meeting, but what I know is there is only one Congress National Committee, and that is the meeting that started at 10 o'clock.
All right. And the two members, were they present in that meeting, Mr. Willie Madisha and Mzwandile Nhleko?
No, they were not present in the meeting, but invitations were extended for them to attend that particular meeting, of which they willingly and knowingly did not attend that particular meeting.
Yeah, did they indicate as to why they were not going to attend?
Absolutely not, sir. They did not indicate why they did not attend.
And how did you then reach the decision that the two would be expelled from the party? What are they charged with, and what is the charge against them that would warrant them being expelled?
Yeah, if you recall, sir, it has been a long process that started a long time ago, starting last year, whereby one, they willingly decided that the president was suspended. That was one of the things. And then Deputy President Willie Madisha, on his own, without the mandate of the Congress National Committee, opened a case which was against the Constitution. That our Constitution is very clear that when you need to litigate, you need to first get a mandate or authority from the Congress National Committee before you can litigate. So, and one of the other things that stands out is the misuse of party funds, and one other one is that he was forming parallel structures in various provinces, and then bringing the party into disrepute. So those are some of the charges that were leveled against him.
Yeah, and Mr. Nhleko?
The same. Mr. Nhleko, with the exception of opening a case, he is the one on the very same case that you spoke about with Mr. Madisha. Mr. Nhleko is the one who deposed in that particular case. So they were facing the same charges, Nhleko and Madisha.
Yeah. Now, on the question of the suspension of the president by the two, or maybe by the three, did it not happen that they sit around the table and have a meeting? At some point, it looked as though they had extended an olive branch and ironed out those particular differences.
We thought so, we believed so, and we hoped so. But unfortunately, talking one and acting differently, it's what we have seen them doing. They would come and sit with the president, but at the same time, they would act differently.
By acting differently, what do you mean?
They would continue doing things that are unconstitutional, and convening meetings that are unknown, that are not sanctioned by the Congress National Committee, and visiting provinces and using the party funds without authorization.
And are you saying now that these two did not have the support of any other structure? They are just literally acting unilaterally as their own kind of structure and doing what they want to do without getting the approval and the consultation of the CNC?
You know, I would talk of a structure within lines of our Constitution. Our Constitution, when they define a structure, they define a structure within the lines of the Congress National Committee, provincial. We have the Congress provincial committees, and even the constituencies. So now, if you are saying they're not getting any support from the structures of Congress of the People, I would say yes. But, you know, as for having support from individuals, that would be a different thing.
Yeah, I'm asking because, I mean, their last meeting, as you put it, where they suspended the president, they said they had, for example, 6 of the provinces supporting them. They had 7 directly elected members. They had the youth structure. They had the women's structure that were supporting them. So they met the necessary quorum to make that kind of decision, which constitute what is a CNC. So this time around, do they still have that kind of support, or have things turned around differently for them?
You know, it is one thing to go to the media and say and tell the media what the media wants to listen, and the other thing is the actual implementation. So there was no such kind of a structure that we're talking about, because we have women structures, and they were in today's meeting. We have the youth structure. They were in today's meeting. So, and they have never been in the structures that Madisha and Kreko is talking about. So when people would like to draw the attention of the media, they can say whatever thing that they want to say, and knowing very well that they do not have the structures behind them as they are alleged to be.
All right, we've got with us on the line there, speaking to us at the moment, the COPE Acting General Secretary, Erick Mohlapamaswi. Also on the line is the Secretary of Elections, Mr. Hleko, who has been suspended. Mr. Hleko, good evening, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. You're being charged, as it seems, for suspending the president, for pursuing litigation against the party without following the proper structures, for being involved in the misuse of party funds and forming parallel structures when the party is having its other meetings. Have you been served, firstly, with a letter that informs you that you've been expelled?
Thank you very much, Tabo. The first thing that we must correct is that Mohlapamaswi is not the acting general secretary of COPE. Mohlapamaswi was a secretary of Limpopo, and his term of office ended in 2019.
Yeah.
And we had to move around and revive the structure.
I'm just reading his statement here that was issued of your suspension. Says
yes,
he's the acting general secretary. So that's the
yes, because
he's
giving. You know, leadership are elected in congresses. Mohlapamaswi was not elected in the National Congress of the party, not even to be a member of the directly elected CNC members. Now in COPE, for you to act in a particular position, you must have been elected or being co-opted by that structure. You don't just come representing a province and you end up giving yourself a title of an acting general secretary. That is point number 1. Point number 2, Erick Mohlapamaswi cannot send a letter of demand to Madisha because Erick Mohlapamaswi is not the acting general secretary. The CNC directly elected members are 18 in total. And in that 18, many have resigned, were left with 12. And in that 12, in their side, they only have Ndateli Kota and Tegolwate. From there, it's Erick and his group whose mandate has lapsed long ago. Now, what is happening? Ndateli Kota does not like democracy, and is proven now every day. When you approach congresses, you will start and come up with all these things. Now, what happened? We have embarked on a program, which program is endorsed by the constitution of the party. That says between April and June, all provinces must have gone to a provincial congress. And National Congress must sit in July, in a year that precedes the national general election. Now, our term as CNC is coming to an end in January. But because the Constitution demands that we must go to Congresses, what we are doing, we have moved around, revived the structures, and now those structures, interim structures that were acting were there as interim, are ready to go to provincial Congresses.
Right.
Now we're taking them through, by resolution of the CNC, through provincial Congresses.
Yeah.
But the does not like that.
Why does it seem that particular activity is a parallel activity, not aligned with what the CNC would have wanted you to do?
No. Which CNC? That is the first thing. Erick Mohlapamaswi and his group, they applied for an interdict stopping us. When we responded, they disappear. They never take us forward. They suspended us at one stage. And then when we were challenging them, they were not able to come on board.
So which CNC said this weekend that made this decision? You are saying there are only two directly elected members that are left.
Yes, we were in that meeting.
And what are all these other provinces that were there, youth structures and everybody else that would have been necessary to form a
check when were those structures Congresses? When were their Congresses? Because all of them lapsed in 2019. That is what happened. The structures that we had a CNC, a proper CNC today. Out of 12 CNC members, we had 8. And those 8 are the ones who have been running the program of the party right through. Because the other 6, Canary passed on last of last year, the others resigned. So we're left with 12. So that is what happened. Now, Ndadeli Kota is worried. His last term, I'm calling him an outgoing president. Now he's trying to come up with all the stories. Because he knows he must come and account. Why is he not attending Parliament? I'm sure you have never seen him in Parliament for a long time. He is not doing his duties. He is nowhere. He is not able to do anything. Madisha has been running up and down alone in that Parliament. But Ndadeli Kota is earning money of the citizens, of the voters of South Africa without doing anything. Now these ones are protecting him because they are friends. So what we are saying is, we are going to take this up as the proper CNC, and Mohlapamaswi is going to face the music because he has been moving around claiming to be the acting general secretary, which is not true. Last year, we had a meeting, and I was appointed, not elected, appointed as an acting general secretary by a legitimate structure. That was endorsed by Ndadeli Kota himself because all these provinces that we're having were endorsed by Ndadeli Kota himself. But because he realized that these structures are not going to agree with his agenda of amending the Constitution so that he must get another term, then he went and take Mohlapamaswi and the rest and say we're our own CNC. So we said they must go to court. Let's go and prove, because they started to say they are going to court. Last week we received a letter from the LWR that was saying they want a mediation. We responded, we said, yes, they must come, we must have a mediation. Before they respond to that, they just expelled Madisha and myself. So that is what is happening, and we don't recognize
Is this announcement going to be challenged in court? Is this announcement valid?
Which announcement?
Of this expulsion of yourself and Mr. Madisha.
We cannot be expelled by Mohlapamaswi. The leadership of the party is elected in conferences. Yes, if we're going to talk to our lawyers, we cannot be expelled by Mohlapamaswi, who is nothing in the party. He is really nothing in the party. His mandate lapsed in Limpopo in 2019. We were supposed to have established an interim structure that is going to take us to province, like we did in other provinces. Yeah. He was a stumbling block. He didn't want us to do that. So we are saying a proper CNC that said today, chaired by Ndate Madisha, Dennis Bloom, myself, and other CNC members, and all the other provinces were there, who were put by the same Ndate Kota who is challenging them today.
All right. Stay right there. Stay on the line, Mr. Members of COPE, representing the factions that are currently at each other's throat. One is the acting Secretary General of the party, Mr. Mohlapamaswi, as well as the Secretary of Election, Mzwandile Nhleko. Mr. Mohlapamaswi, let's come back to you. It seems we can't even call you the acting General Secretary because your mandate lapsed in 2019 and you have not been elected by any Congress. And so there are no powers that you have to expel or even suspend anyone.
No, thank you very much, Thabo. The fact remains that the Constitution is very clear. The Constitution of our Congress of the People is very clear. It talks about the hierarchy of the party when it says that, you know, the Congresses are the highest decision-making bodies, but the Congress National Committee are the highest decision-making body in between Congresses. So it means the CNC, when there is no Congress, the CNC is the one that makes decision in between.
Yeah.
And then you go and look at what constitutes the Congress National Committee. The Congress National Committee is constituted by the directly elected members of the party.
Yeah.
It is constituted by a chairpersons and secretaries of provinces. It is constituted by a chairpersons of women structure, chairpersons of business, chairpersons of student structure.
Yes.
That is what the Constitution is saying. The Constitution, in no way is the Constitution says the CNC only is constituted by the directly elected members. The directly elected members only form part of the CNC.
Right. Right.
So if you see that only directly elected members constitute the CNC, that is not what the Constitution is saying. And
so what you're saying to us, what they are calling a proper CNC that's set, I think today, is not a proper CNC because it doesn't have, according to you, for example, the chairs of the various provinces. It only has directly elected members.
Absolutely my point. And his statement of saying the chairpersons and secretaries of provinces lapsed last year, that's not correct. It is the CNC that took a decision that we will go to the Congresses and elect, then we will go to the National Congress and elect the national leadership. And after elect national leadership, then we will come back and go to the provincial Congresses.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, at that time that we were supposed to go to the provincial Congresses, there was, in 2019, there was COVID. 2020, there was COVID. So you couldn't go to the provincial Congresses in those years. And unfortunately, our General Secretary passed on owing to such. So now, the decision of the CNC has never been changed. It still stands.
So explain to us then how you become the acting Secretary General. You're saying you were voted for, or at least a decision to put you as the acting General Secretary was taken by that CNC.
You know, how I was voted as the acting General Secretary is very simple and clear. All members of the Comrade President, which is Ntate Musiwa Lekota, invited all CNC members to Marshall Stewart. That all CNC members must go to Marshall Stewart after the COVID, because we lost our General Secretary, with the intention of making sure that we have a General Secretary and the Deputy, and the acting General Secretary and the acting Deputy General Secretary. And people like Comrade Seko and the like willingly did not go to Marshall Stewart, knowingly that they have received the invitation. They decided not to go to that Marshall Stewart. And unfortunately, or fortunately, when we arrived in Marshall Stewart, the quorum was satisfied. You know, we reached the quorum, and people managed to vote me at a particular meeting as the acting General Secretary. course, I don't blame him because, it looks like he does not read the Constitution.
Right.
He must be able to understand the Constitution of Congress of the People so that he can be able to articulate it.
Let's talk then about the mediation request that you put forward, they responded to, and even before you could respond to that, you're sending them letters of expulsion. Did you send a request for mediation?
Absolutely, sir. It is through our a law firm, an independent law firm, because our Constitution so demands that if there are such kind of differences in between people or in between, within the party, then there has to be mediation. We wrote them a letter to say we need mediation. But you know what they did? He wrote a letter purporting to be representing both Madisha and Comrade Dennis Blue. They did not accede to the request. And so now, if they don't accede to the request, then we moved to the step further, which is to take them to the route that we took.
Right.
So now, it means therefore that they failed to act. They decided not to act themselves.
Okay.
So should they have acted accordingly by acceding to our request of saying, let's have a mediation, wouldn't be where we are.
I've got to take a break, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to give Mr. Hleko an opportunity to respond to those issues. Let me give you an opportunity to respond to these issues. One is that you're failing to understand the Constitution and the role of the Congress National Committee that happens in between Congresses. And that's the body that was gathered at Muscle Sport, where all CNC members were there, satisfied a quorum, and elected Mr. Mohlapamaswi as the acting Secretary General.
Thank you very much, Tabo. Well, I will not respond on the question of whether I understand the Constitution or not. But what I'm raising is that Mohlapamaswi came to the CNC representing a province, not elected in the National Congress. He was sent by the province to represent the province to the CNC. Now, he wants to undermine those who were elected in a Congress to become a general secretary, which is the point that same Mr. Mohlapamaswi, when we were having a vacate of the treasurer, national treasurer, when Western Cape was pushing Theo Gordon, who was the chairperson of the Western Cape, to become an acting general secretary, they said, no, that cannot happen. Because for you to be elected or to act, you are supposed to have been elected in a Congress, not coming there representing a province as if there were no people who were elected in a Congress. Now, Theo was not able to be elected a treasurer. Tebu Olwate, who was the member of the CNC, who now is the chairperson, was appointed to be the acting treasurer because he was directly elected. The same Mohlapamaswi was arguing that. Because there is no way that you come to a meeting representing a province and end up being a general secretary. It cannot happen that way. Which means all of us, we must not go and contest elections in National Congress.
Yeah.
We can just come through provinces, and after that we'll be general secretary. It cannot operate.
If all those who gathered at Muscle Sport agreed that it can happen, though. Where's the disconnect?
No, I'm coming to that. Those who gathered in Muscle Sport, in our papers in court, which Mohlapamaswi have not taken that case because it's them who opened the case against us. We challenged that meeting and say that was a meeting of friends of the court. It was never a CNC because all the directly elected members of the CNC were informed very late. Some, like myself, I have never received any invitation. The only thing we got, we proved it, we put it in our court papers. We proved even those people indicated what time have they received the notices for the meeting. No transport arrangements were made. Their response was that each and everyone was expected to organize themselves because they happened to have a person by the name of Tom Mfuke, who has friends in the Jewish board, that they organized money and they transported their own people so that they can have this. Because the main issue here People don't like democracy. They don't want us to go to congresses and democratize the party. And that is how Ndadeli Kota has been running the Congress of the People from the beginning. Yeah. When we are supposed to go to proper congresses, he will always check, am I going to be elected? If he's not going to be elected, he will come up with all the stories.
So what of this view that it was agreed that national congresses will be held first and then thereafter provincial congresses will be held? But, of course, COVID happened and that disrupted that whole process.
Now, what happened? In 2018, we're supposed to have gone to provincial congresses before the National Congress. We were running late because our constitution is saying before you contest election, general election and provincial elections, national and provincial election, you must have gone through your provincial congresses and your national congress. A resolution was taken that in 2018, we are going to a national congress, and after the national congress, we will come and through congresses at provincial level. We did that. The Constitution mandated us, that was adopted by that Congress, that all our structures must be in line with the Constitution. When we were approaching the 2019 election, we said, let's allow the elections to pass. After the elections, we will come back and have provincial congresses. But now, because their term has already lapsed, the CNC took a decision to say, if these people are running conferences, we will be challenged in court because in terms of our constitution, their mandate has lapsed. Therefore, let's establish interim structures. We went out with the president, Ndadeli Kota, who has also funded those activities. We went around and established interim structures. Limpopo didn't want us to establish an interim structure in Limpopo. Gauteng was also resisting. All these others were able to do that with Ndadeli Kota. Now, the mandate of those interim structures was to take us through provincial congresses. Hence, the CNC of February this year said, now is the time, these provinces are ready. Let's go and do congresses in line with our calendar as per the Constitution, which is saying April to June is provinces and July is National Congress. We did that. These comrades are starting to see that the train is moving. They are going to be left behind. Then they jump and say, no. These comrades are wrong. They cannot do this. Let's stop them. If we stop them now, the process of going to congresses, we will not be able to contest the provincial and the national elections based on our own constitution. IEC can disqualify us, because we said we are constitutionalists. And we also submitted our constitution to IEC. Yeah. Now, IEC will recognize those parties that are operating in terms of their constitution.
It seems
but these comrades,
they're saying it's not really about that. It's about you having clearly ignored their request for mediation. You did not accede to the request.
That's not true. I can show you my letter. You know, I even protested. Their lawyer was operating outside the procedures that are accepted by court. They sent us a letter on the 15th, at 7/25 to 1936. I received a letter that was putting all the allegations against us and also coming up with a proposal of a mediation. And they wanted us to respond by Sunday. Knowing all the law firms are closed, there's no way, it's a long weekend. I responded on Saturday. I said to them, one, you have not operated in terms of the law, in terms of the rules of the court. You have not given us a chance to consult. But nevertheless, we agree on a mediation. Please, within 7 days, you must have told us whether you are taking this forward or not. We gave them the letter. And the lawyer responded on WhatsApp to say, thank you, have received your response. Because mediation was not just their view. In our first papers, you can see them, the first papers, last year, we said to them, political issues cannot be addressed by courts. They can be solved politically. Therefore, let's have mediation. Their lawyer then, Sali, wrote back to say they are not interested. But now all of a sudden, because there is a move of establishing structures, they can see they are being left out. They want mediation. We said, yes. Whilst we were waiting for them to respond, what they did, they sent us a letter again. And you can see the tricky part. The letter was sent to us late on and early on Thursday, wanting a response by close of business on Friday. Now, what is that? The issue is clear. These guys wanted to expel us so that we must not go to a Congress. And we know all those tricks are from Ntateli Kota and Thomas Mofuke.
Future of the party, as we wrap up, because I am completely out of time, I'm going to let this go. But what does this spell for the future of the party?
Are you talking to
Yes, Mr. Hleko, what does this spell for the future of the party?
There is nothing. The party has a future. Voters are still interested all over where we are moving. Of course, there are those who are demoralized with what is happening in the party. But it's happening also in other parties. The only thing the problem we have is that you have people who are not in any structure, group of friends who just come in and challenge whatever the party is doing.
Yeah. Mr. Mohlapamaswi, it seems the two groups are unable to sort out their differences. What's the future for the party?
The future of the party is currently challenged. I agree, but we always will carry the party, but with our shoulders, and make sure that we march forward. That is how brief I can be.
I appreciate your time. Thank you both for coming on.